Thank you so much for joining us, folks. We're talking about email strategy today as if it's not being talked about enough already. So, I'm just trying to be real here. I know this is a set of words that has been probably repeated several times. I'm just gonna fix my volume here. I know my microphone can be problematic sometimes. Very quickly. I think you should be able to hear me pretty well now. So we're talking about email strategy here. And, of course, there's enough been spoken about email strategy, enough things that people have said about it. But we have something slightly different. We'll just give away some solid ideas that you can take back and implement on your own. Also, we've been running email strategy for more than 100 companies now. And so we do a massive volume of emailing. Apart from the conversion optimization business, we also have an email marketing product called Engage. So we had so many learnings that we thought it's criminal to keep them, in-house, to kind of keep them with us. And so we've tried to squeeze as much as possible into this document. I'm going to walk you through this. If you have any questions as we go, please feel free to ask them in the chat, or there is also a Q&A section here. I'll try and pick them up as I go, or we'll take it up at the end. These webinars are now becoming a thing. They've actually become a thing a long time ago, but I love the fact that we have so many people joining us who've been parts of earlier webinars. So that means there's some value in that in what I'm saying. So people who've joined us for the first time, welcome. I'm Shekhar. I'm building this business called ConvertCart with 150 other people, and we're trying our best to solve two problems. The first is conversion rate for e-commerce, and the second is revenue from email marketing. So let's jump in. I don't want to waste your time. There's no plug, there's no pitch today. It's only good information that you can take away. We'll jump right in. What we've done is we've broken this down into 5 or 6 key workflows or flows that a company must do. And what do you need to do within them to be really good at it, to essentially drive a lot of revenue? I'll start by an insight straight away. Generally speaking, if emails are not driving at least 25-30% of your revenue, there's something wrong. That's how much revenue emails drive for brands that are upwards of $1 million. Without fail, I've seen that happening. Now, for that to happen, for emails to drive 25-30% of your revenue, and as a matter of fact, feel free to put that in here. I did a poll the last time. I should have done it this time as well. But if you know the number of the percentage of revenue that emails drive for you, unless you don't want to put it in public, feel free to put that in the chat. But generally speaking, there are 2 things that are really important for that to happen. The first is you need to have a sizable email list of customers that have said yes and they want to hear from you. And the second thing that you need is an email strategy of useful emails that are good, where it's not just content, it also has context. And I'm going to talk about that and what I mean by that in a little bit. But generally speaking, that's the thumb rule. The second thing that's important is you have to guard that email revenue. With 2024, the new email regulations, the new email gods of the internet essentially decided they wanted to change the rule on emailing. And I think to some degree, it's fine. We've all seen enough spam in our inboxes. The gods of internet essentially have changed the rules of emails, right? So there's a certain volume of emails you should do, a certain volume of spam that you can be marked, and so on. So we've written enough about it already, but that has made email harder because if I was to be honest, in May alone, I have come across 3 businesses, sizable businesses. So, which is why the number 3 is still big for me, that have completely lost either their domain reputation or their IP reputation as a function of their emails and their email strategy, or whoever was running emails for them, because the focus was so much on the volume of emailing that it never got anything out of. So that's something that we want to be very, very careful about. So build an email list aggressively, meaningfully. Have an email list of people that want to hear from you. Do quality emailing, and then that's the kind of path to achieving 25-30% of your revenue from emails. Why is it important though? Why is it important why are people obsessing over emails? The answer is very simple. For every customer you acquire from Google and Facebook, you have to pay a tax, right? You pay the Facebook and Google tax, or whatever you want to call it. For every customer you acquire from an affiliate, you pay a percentage. In any other way, if you acquire a customer, except for a repeat customer that's coming back and buying from you, you're paying money, right? A very simple question. What is cheaper? Is it cheaper to retain a customer, or is it cheaper to acquire a customer? It's obviously cheaper to retain a customer that you already have. And that's exactly why emails are important. The return on investment, if you spend $2,000 on managing and doing your emails well, you could make an ending amount of money from it as long as you get things right. So without further ado, let me jump into the exact stuff that I want to talk about. I have more such interesting nuggets to share with everyone today. Again, I hope you can hear me well. If you have any hiccups, please put it in the chat. That's the only way I can know. I'm the only one who's hosting this. I talk so much that it's impossible for me to have two people on the webinar. So that's about that. Let's talk about welcome emails. And the first thing that we want to care about is timing. We've actually done a fairly detailed analysis of what timing generally works or doesn't work and so on and so forth. Don't wait a day. Don't wait a few hours, right? Generally speaking, we've seen that if the welcome email is sent within 30 minutes, it's a great, that's where it's useful. Ideally, it should be sent instantly. You should not wait, right? And I'm going to talk about timing for cart recovery emails as well. I've seen brands doing, email verifications and all of that kind of stuff where you are running a pop-up with a coupon or something like that, and you are asking for emails, and then there is another confirmation email going, hey, are you sure that you want to subscribe? Can you verify your email and so on and so forth? All of that is a waste of time. I would not recommend spending effort there. Make it extremely simple. If you have a coupon, if you have an offer, if you have a reason for people to subscribe, first of all, have a good enough reason, and I'll talk about that in a bit. But bigger than that is the moment they give you their email, deliver whatever value you were to give to them in their inbox straight away. What that does for you is, if they need the coupon, they have to give you a legitimate email. So you're not collecting spam emails. You don't need to double verify those emails. Second is these instant email, getting an email instantly with a coupon is the best way to make sure that it was useful, that the person gave you the email with some intent to purchase. They had at least a little bit of reason to give you the email. So that's obvious and kind of really a basic. Then when we talk about the content that goes into the email, if you're just going to straight away start the conversation with a discount, right? So you've just got a subscriber, they signed up for a coupon, you give them the coupon either on the site or anywhere else. But now you have a welcome series planned for them. So you have a first email that's probably going out a couple of hours later or the next day. And you're giving them another discount saying, hey, here's a 15% off, why don't you come and buy? So the assumption is that if they gave you their email, all they're waiting for is a discount. And that assumption is not useful, because almost 80% of the emails that are in the customer's inbox look like this. They have an offer in them. There is some of the other festival in some of the other part of the world. And there are, generally speaking, a lot of reasons for people to just completely ignore this, right? So now that we know that, it's extremely important that you stay away from obsessive discounting and communicating that discounting too much. Focus on telling your story. And I think it's fine to top the story up with a great offer, but focusing on telling the story well is extremely important, because while you have the email, you still might not have the customer. They are not probably convinced about buying from you. They are probably doubtful about the quality, about where it's coming from, about the shipping price, about the price itself, maybe, about your competitors, about who the company is run by. It could be anything. And adding a little bit of humanity to your emails goes a long way, because then you start to stand out. Everybody else is sending discounts and you're sending a story. They're saying, hey, Shekhar, you know what? When we started the company, we wanted to create something that's sustainable. So for every yoga mat that you buy from us, we plant a tree, right? So it could be any of those things that you want to do. In addition to the story, if you want to offer a discount, that's fine. But I would still not recommend leading with a discount and just leaving it at that. Then you're being extremely transactional and you're losing an opportunity to build a brand. Also, if it's just the discount and there is no recall attached to it, which means they don't remember who they gave the email and why, they have a very big reason to unsubscribe, because that you're just trying to sell something then. So I always recommend putting yourself in the customer's shoe. And I think that always, obviously makes things clearer. I'm going to speed up. I have, I think, 35 points to go through. And some of the more interesting ones are down below. So I'm going to just keep going faster. Some of these points are really obvious. So I'm just going to keep speeding up as I go. This is a very simple one. Show real customers, real customer reviews. Do user-generated content the right way. I would recommend for the next 100 orders that you ship out, put a small card in them saying, hey, if you can send us a picture of yourself using our product or post it on Instagram, we will give you, we'll send a goodie your way or send you a gift, or, do spend some small amount of money in rewarding that customer so that you have actual customers sending you pictures of using the product or maybe even posting them. If you've done that for the next 100 deliveries and you have 20, maybe 10 people, reacting to that, sharing the product with you, you have something that is gold, because everybody knows when a picture is taken for marketing versus when it's an actual customer promoting something. And that's also something that works extremely well with ads, with retargeting ads, with Facebook and TikTok ads, wherever else. Actual customer footage, images is priceless. So that's a great way to introduce your brand to people. Also, really tom-tom about the stuff that people love. I don't think companies do this enough in emails. Generally, what I see with emails is a hero image with like whatever your hero product and really nice graphics, followed by product, followed by the unsubscribe button. So there is really no selling happening inside of the email. I loved this example because in this case, they've not put entire testimonials. They've just picked the keywords, the important stuff that the customer said that mattered. So for example, there's one talking about a great cut and wash, another one talking about fitting, another one talking about fading being very minimal. So there's so much that's happening that in a single snapshot, you know exactly what worked out for them. Showcase major categories. This is another very interesting thing, is that the assumption that your customer, what you're sending to the customer is exactly what they want, can be fatal. So one of the easiest ways to get people to click on your email is to give them something that is click worthy in that way, right? So in this case, for example, you're not sending anything, you're not doing anything too adventurous. You're just sending a few buttons in the email. I'll give you an even better example of this, which is not here with me in a screenshot. We had a customer that sells. We have a customer that sells various types of supplements, health supplements, right? And so they could help you with hair loss. They could help you with quality of your skin. They could help you with few other things. So the emails that they would do would be extremely simple. They would have 6 buttons of 6 symptoms that their products can solve, and they would say, "Hey, what bothers you most today?" And just those 6 symptoms. So if you click on it, it just takes you to the product page, which then tells you how to solve it, and then the product is placed. So it's a beautiful cadence, fantastic funnel with emails, really high click-through rate, because the email is not selling anything. It's creating a ton of curiosity. And I'll remind you about curiosity in a bit. So I'm just going to keep moving. But again, use call to actions in your email intelligently. You can do it. If you are selling a fashion brand, if you're selling a fashion product, for example, and this is an idea that we are yet to implement, but there's something that we thought for a fashion customer. So they sell linen beach clothing wear for men, and so there are shirts, there are shorts, and that kind of stuff. So let's say somebody came and they saw a plain white linen shirt. We're going to send them an email saying, "Hey, we completed the look for you, and the shirt is going to show up, and then the whatever is going to be the second product which completes the look is going to be masked. So it's going to have a cardboard sort of a cutout on top of it in the design." And so if they want to see the completed look, they will have to click on it, and that will take them to both the products kind of bundled together. So it's a hard to execute campaign, but you see where I'm going, right? You see that I'm using curiosity to kind of get people to the next level in the funnel. If you can get them to engage with you for other reasons, that's even better. This is one, it's a great segue actually from what I was just saying. In this case, that's exactly what's happening. What do you wear your dickies for, and what products interest you? So in this case, it's a little generic, I must say. So my feedback to this team would be, hey, you know what? Nobody generally says or just explicitly walks in and says, "Hey, this is what interests me." Nobody talks that language. So what they could just simply have done is, just kept it extremely simple. Find 20% off on your next purchase, pick your dickies, and just put a work, play, and all of the time sort of categories there, and then they can kind of pick what they want. But my limited point being that you've created recall already, give them a next step. Don't leave it up to them. So the goal of the welcome email series is to establish the brand, establish trust, and to convince customers that are not convinced already. That's the goal. It's not to give them an offer. It's not to hammer them with deals. It's not to just somehow push them over the line. It's just to make sure that they remember you for life if they've even seen 1 or 2 emails from you. Anyways, your welcome series would have a 50 to 60% open rate if you're doing a decent job. If you're doing an even better job, 65, maybe even 70%. So it's safe to say that For the new traffic you've acquired from ads, and the one that's really going to come back, you have their email. So you have to do a good job of it. Cart abandonment. Again, timing is extremely important. Your first email, if somebody abandons the cart, and I think there's no saying, if you look at the volume of people that Google why my cart abandonment rate is high or how to save abandoned carts, it's crazy. I think we obsess over this far too much because we fail to sometimes recognize that cart is the last part of the customer journey. If they have left at that final step, the failure could be anywhere in the journey prior to that part, right? We sometimes forget that. But anyways, let's focus on the emails. It's extremely important that you send the email exactly 1 hour later. If you send it 20 minutes, so this is an analysis that we've done. This is data that is also publicly available. So we picked it up and this matched our data as well. So an hour is the perfect time that you want to kind of do it. The second email is the next day, and the third email is 3 days after abandonment, so that there is enough time you've given to the customer to kind of take it to the next level. If you send out emails with boring subject lines, I will find you and I will blame you for it. So what I'm going to do is everybody who signed up for the webinar, I'm going to find your stores, I'm going to opt into your emails, and I'm going to forward those emails back to you if the subject lines don't look good. Because I think that's the easiest thing to get right with a powerful email strategy. Let me just put it this way. The only goal, and you can repeat after me, although I won't be able to hear you, the only goal of the subject line is to get the email to open. The only goal of the subject line is to get the email to open. So if you're writing this long sentence that has the same boring information in it, nobody will click on it because they know what's inside, right? So if it says, hey, your cart is about to sell out, they know it's not going to sell out, right? Assume your customer to be smart, please. Even if you think they're not, your customers are pretty smart, right? So you've got to create curiosity. So one of the things that is happening here, and we've put a range of options here. If you see the long ones are categorically boring. So Crate and Barrel, we've held your cart for a limited time only. So I'm not going to open this email because I know what it is. It's that cart that I abandoned at Crate and Barrel of stuff that I don't need, which I'm going to probably come back for at some point, which I don't know when. Whereas if you look at the shortest subject lines here, don't miss out. Right? That's all the subject line says. It doesn't say sweaty Betty. It just says don't miss out. And for example, Huck Berry says just a couple left, right? The shorter it is, the more curiosity it creates, right? Generally speaking, and this is a rule that I have created. So please follow it at your own risk. But I have high confidence it will work for you. Is 3 words only. That's your goal, right? So for example, when I'm asking someone for meeting over an email, my subject lines are always 2 words. Let's meet. That's it. Right? It's even if it is an internal email that has a lot of information in it, the subject line will still be. I cannot write long subject lines because it just beats the purpose of the email then, right? You can talk about discounts for sure, but you will again notice that generally speaking, with a discount, you're always going after bottom of the funnel customers, meaning people who are already fully convinced. So if they've abandoned their cart because your shipping was too high, if they've abandoned your cart because they don't trust the product, you're not solving for that with a discount for sure. Although I'll give you a way to solve for that as well. Or you can just flatter them. You can be funny. You can have humor, right? So for example, Bath and Body Works says, trust your instincts, right? Very simple. So now I'm curious what's in it, especially people who have any even minute affinity to marketing in any way. They will get curious when they see subject lines that I get curious because I want to see what somebody sat down, wrote, copy, designed the email just for me. So I get curious and I want to just go in and see what they're really doing. But yeah, that's kind of the stuff that matters. If your email opens and say, okay, I actually don't take a lot of complaint with this email. We gave this example here because I agree and disagree with it. I think it's bland, but I also think that it is extremely focused, right? So it has no BS, right? Come back to bed. This is what you had in your cart, right? And generally speaking, depending on when people are shopping for these products, the kind of purchase that it is, it really matters. So here is I gave you my first big insight about how much revenue you should generally aim to drive from emails. I'm going to give you my second interesting insight is there are 4 types of purchases people make, right? So there are emergency purchases, right? The kinds we don't want to make, right? My tire got damaged, I had to rush to the mechanic to kind of fix that, or some kind of medical emergency. That's emergency. Then the second type is mundane, which is stuff that you buy every day, every week, right? It could be groceries, it could be all of the stuff that you pick up on the way back from work or whatever, right? The third is planned purchases. These are when you're trying to buy slightly pricier items. It could be buying something for the house. It could be planning a trip. It could be maybe redoing your kitchen counter or whatever it is. That's planned purchase. And the last one is unplanned purchase. So when it's not an emergency, but it is an unplanned purchase, it's, when you were in Vegas and you thought you needed a Rolex and they were offering you this gold Datejust with diamonds on it and you thought you want it, and you thought it'll grow in value. So that's an unplanned expensive purchase, right? Unplanned purchases can also be inexpensive. You're walking down the mall, you saw a nice Nike sneaker and you just bought it, right? So now you have 4 frames of mind in which your customer can be. Does your email strategy align with it? Or does it not? Which category do you fall in? Think of it yourself and then come back to what I'm going to tell you now. Your copy has to sit in the customer's mind. Your copy is not for you. It's not for design. It's not for the email to look a certain way. The goal of your email copy is so that it goes and addresses the customer's mind and their fears and their motivations and their psychology. So in this case, come back to bed, looks like you'll have something, and they're just focusing on it. So I don't have any, as I said, complaints with it, but I think it's okay to open your email with a discount. In the case of a cart recovery, you should do that. So in the welcome email case, I said don't do it. In this case, I said do it. You deserve better sleep, right? So now we're talking good copy, and then the intention here is that we are just trying to make sure that people feel valued. And then you could also do a timer. In this case, this is a very subtle way of doing it. We've reserved it for the next 48 hours. The problem with this is somebody who doesn't have patience will not read that sentence. They'll not read it. They'll just scroll down. They'll look at, oh, okay, these guys, Society 6 sent me an email. They're just going to move on. So the best way to do such stuff is start with the number first. It should be 48 hours, that's how long we'll keep it for you. That's the right way to do copy here, instead of we've reserved your cart for the next 48 because nobody's going to read it. I would in fact go as far as not having so much happening here. So it says order incomplete, blah, 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 get my 30% off, etc., etc. Save my cart would be my CTA, and then I would want to plate the discount in a slightly different way. So there are many ways to attack kind of the same problem. So now the other interesting thing is that a cart abandonment email, believe it or not, is still something you're sending to someone who has spent upwards of 2 minutes on your site, right? Generally speaking, those are the customers that will make it to cart. So it's not that they are as less in their intent to purchase as the welcome folks that we were just talking about before this. So it's extremely important that you personalize it for them. And this is where I was going to say, which is what I said earlier, that context is more important than content. Because what I've showed you in the previous example is the content is important. You deserve better sleep. That's content. Context is when you're catching the customer in their frame of mind, right? So for example, they were looking at an off-roading sneaker or a certain kind of shoe. You show them other stuff that is relevant to the kind of sport that they were looking at. You are also saying that there is this other thing that's on discount, which is also from the same category, and so on, right? So now it becomes contextual. So it's not just content, you've added context to it. That's when it becomes personalization, when it becomes conversion friendly. So it's not hard to pull off. Trust me, setting up these workflows will change the game for you. I want to remind everyone, because I see there are about 5 people who've joined us in the last few minutes. But generally speaking, I want to repeat that about 30% of your revenue should be driven from emails, and 60% of that 30% should be driven purely from these 5 workflows. If it doesn't happen, there's something wrong. So just let us know. We'll probably audit your email strategy, go into your Klaviyo or whatever account you use, and tell you exactly what's going on for free. We'll do it for free. Just let us know. I'm just in that giving mode right now. So this is the right opportunity to let us know about it. Or I'll send you an email after and you can just let me know. Anyways, resolve shipping and returns as an objection. Now that's a big one. As a matter of fact, BigCommerce did this study some time back that 48% of the abandoned carts are because of shipping price. I'm sure all of you have thought about this. I know you cannot waive off shipping. I know it's cost and somebody has to pay it. But I also know that customers never said no to paying it. And I also know that it's okay to give your customer a discount on shipping instead of giving them a discount on product. Think about it. Instead of discounting your product, try and discount your shipping. See if that works better for you. I think it will, because if they reached the cart, they knew the price. And if they left the cart, it's not the price that they left for. So there's reason for you to ensure that they understand that. Also, returns is probably the most underrated thing. That's probably one of the biggest reasons Amazon is as big as it is because you can trust that if you don't like something or if it's broken, it'll go back and it'll be fine. I want to just spend 2 seconds on mobile optimization. I know we are at halfway mark, but I just want to keep going because I want to leave a few minutes at the end for questions. And I'm sure somebody will ping me from the team saying you're going too slow, but I'm just going to spend 2 minutes on this. Feel free to take a screenshot. Single column templates only. Keep your emails 600 pixels wide. Configure emails in a way that they are compatible to dark and light mode on your phone. That's something that's not mentioned here, but that's very important. I see marketers doing emails without backgrounds. And so black colored text loads on my dark mode phone and it doesn't help. Sorry, that's my dog, by the way. And it doesn't help, right? So you got to make sure that do. And then create fat finger friendly buttons. I relate to them a lot, as you could imagine. Use line breaks, big chunks of text, nothing that is smaller than 14 pixels at any cost. Use good square or portrait imagery. Don't use landscapes. It doesn't work. It's very hard to see them on the phone. Use large, longer images. That's fine because on the desktop, they would load just as nicely. They would load just as nicely. There's nothing wrong with that. Make sure your images are highly optimized. And also, the most important thing, you have to have good buttons and good attribution behind those buttons. So proper UTM links and everything else that can make it easy for you to track and attribute sales to emails. So I'm going to talk about why I say that. If I'm saying that 30% of your emails, 30% of your revenue should come from emails, the first part there is that you have to be able to track it. Because I have seen, and I wrote a LinkedIn thing, rant about it just today. So I please welcome you to follow me on LinkedIn. I post nuggets there every now and then. For the last 15 to 20 Google Analytics 4 accounts that I've seen, emails are getting attributed in several different revenue heads. So there is a Klaviyo, there is an email, there is a referrer, which also has some email in it. So it's all over the place. If you can't attribute where you get your sales from, how will you ever grow it? So I recommend you to go and read that post that I just wrote today. I think it's really good information. Anyways, coming back to browser abandonment, some very basic stuff. Make sure that you collect enough emails. Your goal should be to collect emails from at least 8% of all the new traffic on your site. I'll repeat that. Your goal should be to collect emails from at least 8% of all of the new traffic on your site. What that does for you is essentially capture just the right amount of people that have intent and they visit your site from all the different channels, right? Now, browser abandonment, generally speaking, you want to keep it not too long, right? So you don't want to remind people about the product because this is lower intent audience. They've not reached as far as the cart, but they've looked at a couple of products and then they've abandoned the site, right? First email here again will be 1 hour after abandonment. And the second email will be 1 day after their browse. And then after that, it depends on the category you fall in. Emergency, mundane, planned, unplanned. Depending on the type of purchase that you are, you can keep your browse abandonment fairly long. We work with a business that sells kitchen counters. The purchase is made once in 10 years. Their browse abandonment emails are 1 year long. And we engage customers every month, and then we start doing it once in 45 days, and then we keep dialing this frequency down to make sure that it still stays relevant. Okay. You need to, again, subject lines are extremely amazing. I've put some here, but I'm not a big fan of, some of this, but generally speaking, you want to keep it extremely crisp, and the goal with the subject line is only curiosity, right? Now, let's begin with browse abandonment. Fundamentally, what's even happening? Where did they drop off? Do you have that data, first of all? Do you have the data for how many people drop off at every part of your journey? In Google Analytics 4, if you go into retention, you would see purchase journey and shopping journey as 2 sections. Are they properly configured? If they're not, open them right now. Feel free to open another tab, open your GA4, and just check if that's set up properly. If it's not, that's the first order of business here. You need to know why people left and where they left. If you don't know that, naturally you cannot communicate to them in a relevant way. Coming back, if they have abandoned the category page, price drop works like a dream. Of course, there has to be a price drop for it. But generally speaking, they were looking at an entire collection of products. They were looking at a bunch of shirts, a bunch of paintings or whatever it is that you're selling, and they've just left. So price drops work great. Limited time coupons work great because here you are trying to increase the intent of the customer. That's the big difference here. In the previous time, in the previous email, the intent was already there. You were trying to persuade them to act on it. Now the intent might not be there. They gave you the email, but they left even before adding something to the cart. So it could be either they did not find something they like, or they did not have enough intent. So the first order of business is to get the intent fixed. The second thing is, if the abandonment is before the product page, solve for discovery first. Send them your highest hot selling products, the ones that the customer is most likely to see. We, for example, have our own personalization engine. So we would really go deep. We would say, hey, if this guy was looking at this category, here are the 3 products that have the maximum discount, and here are the 3 best sellers. And we'll put all 6 in the email, put testimonials, put shipping return information, add a bunch of other graphics, make it mobile friendly, time it well, and send it, right? So all of that effort goes into sending a good email, and we make sure that that happens. So if it is before the product page, solve for product discovery first. It means they never reached the product page, that they couldn't find something they wanted, but they want to buy from you. That's why they gave you their email. Coming back, personalize the subject line. This is a very hit or miss example, intentionally put here. Full names, old fashioned, right? Nobody calls me Shekhar Kapoor ever. Nobody even calls me Shekhar now. Everybody calls me SK. So that's one thing. But yeah, I know if I'm being called Shekhar Kapoor, it's probably my dad and I've done something horribly wrong. And he's trying to call me Mr. Shekhar Kapoor for some reason. But yeah, I mean, nobody calls me that. So full names, not so much, but can you bring in the name? Can you bring in the exact product they were seeing? Can you bring in the couple of products they've seen? Did you capture their location? Can you personalize on the basis of that? So on and so forth, right? Then you've got, free shipping. Everybody loves free shipping, but here's the psychological, I don't want to say trick, but here's the psychological case for free shipping at this time, right? Is there a case that they were comparing you and Amazon? Because that's one of the biggest reasons we found for people to abandon before even reaching the cart page. If they're abandoning a product, they're comparing who ships faster, Amazon or you, or directly. And so that's something to kind of think about, right? If you're chatting, please don't select to pick everyone. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, I'll get a DM and then I have to kind of go to a different section. So just letting you know. The next one is post-purchase email. This is a point where everyone drops the ball. This is where everybody thinks, okay, I don't need to indulge in a customer that's already bought from me. So I'm going to open your perspective. Perspective and perception are 2 different things, right? Think about it. So I'm going to open up your perspective, and then you can perceive what I'm trying to tell you with that perspective. So RFM is a way to find who you should email. RFM, it's recency, frequency, and monetary value. Which means recency means how recent the customer is, obviously, if they're a fresh customer. Frequency is their frequency of purchase, which also would depend on the category or the 4 that I gave you. And then the last one is monetary value. Are they a high value customer or are they a low value customer? Basis that, you have to use post-purchase as a great opportunity to engage them with something relevant. So if you've captured a customer for a high frequency product, and you know what the normal frequency is, it's your email's job to make sure that that frequency actually happens. Okay. Now, first time customer, just say thank you. I think enough brands don't do this. And I feel that's a missed opportunity again. This is a great, they've already bought from you. So this is a great opportunity to build a brand. Send your email ID to them, send the founder's email ID, make a new email ID saying, what, for example, I would do a SK at ConvertCart maybe. I would say, hey, if anything ever goes wrong, just email me directly. I will give you a call and I'll fix it. In this case, selling coffee beans, and not much to go wrong, but that's a great gesture. Promote a related product, that's completely fine. That's actually, it actually happens a lot with us. One of the implementations we run for sites that are on Magento or Shopify Plus, not Shopify because you can't edit checkout for them, is after completing checkout on the thank you page, we upsell. Because at that point, you already got the customer, but can you sell them something relevant? So we have, for example, a client that does really, really high quality leather shoes. And the moment they complete the purchase, the thank you page upsell is a shoe cleaner. And there's a huge discount on it. And we say, hey, if you buy it right now is when you get this discount. So that's an instant upsell for us to get a shoe cleaner out for them. Early access. So this is another very interesting one. This is a great way to build loyalty. It's an even better way to build community. Now, I'm going to give you another very interesting angle. I know some of you might have heard it in my earlier webinar, but here is a hack. I don't like the word hacks, but here is a strategy for you to build a community. I know a lot of brands are building it, so I'll just tell you how to do it. If you think you are a business that has a set of loyal customers, like any other business, launch a new product, but don't put it up out there yet, right? Lead it up for a month. Say, hey, you know what, it's coming 30 days to go or 60 days to go. Join the, we only have limited units, join the list if you want to be a part of the people who want to purchase this. So you have your regular customers as well as new customers sign up to this list, a wait list for this new product that you're launching in 30 days or 45 days. And then you give them updates in those 45 days. Hey, we're just finalizing the production. The shipment just came in from China or whatever it is that's coming from. And, and we're just, getting ready with making sure that the logistics are set. We're anticipating huge demand, et cetera, et cetera. So all of those updates go to them for like 40, 45 days in a row. But what you've done in this meantime is you have this group of customers who are glued, who at least have a slightly more significant amount of attention on you than everybody else. Add them all in a Facebook group or a Slack group or wherever you want to manage your community. Facebook group being my recommended choice, but you could do it anywhere else. And that's going to be there for life. So every waitlist and launch you do, you keep doing that. Do this for a couple of years. You have about 10, 15, 20,000 people in the community. And so now this group, you just created a completely new channel of communication for yourself, which is not email, and it's yours completely. So you don't need to pay anyone for it. So that's one interesting way to do it. That's why post-purchase emails are extremely important. Incentivize referrals, very obvious idea. I'm going to keep going in interest of time. I'm going to give you more insights so that we can take a look at that as well. And also, there's no harm in sending people the content you create. You spend a lot of effort and time in creating content, so there's no harm in doing that. Let's talk about win back. This is my final section. This is also where I'm going to be talking about another point that I had written down that I wanted to make sure that I cover in the webinar today. And there is a metric that is often overlooked in e-commerce. In fact, nobody really calculates. I've never seen people calculating. And that metric is lapse point. Lapse point is the point of no return of customers, essentially. So what that means is if Shekhar comes to your site and buys from you today, and then he buys from you again 90 days later, and then he doesn't buy from you, how many average number of days does a customer have to not buy for you to consider them a lapsed customer? I hope that made sense. So for example, if customers buy from you in January, if they've not bought from you for 6 months in a row, can you call them a lapsed customer or not? So generally, you could also bucket it. So 90 days, 90 to 120, 120 to 180, and then you know. So again, you have to figure out which category of purchases you sit in, and that's how you essentially do that. 2 to 5 emails is a safe number, but you can do more. And why you can do more is your open rate, click-through rate will give you insights as you start to do them on how many work. So don't bug your customers. The first thing is send a personal note. I would, in fact, go and put my own picture in the email and say, hey, I just wanted to reach out myself and say that while you were our customer, we had a great time. The office was a happy place. We used to see your order, jump with happiness on the table, pack your order, deliver it with a smile on our faces. But then it stopped, right? So I would really kind of go to the next level and without cringing your customer out, articulate a message as heartful message as I could possibly do. But generally speaking, the intention is to write a straight away message. Hey, you know what? I know you've not ordered for a long time. We just wanted to leave it be. And you know what? We are here. if you ever need anything, just let us know. So it's a very gentle reminder. It's not, for lack of a better way to put it, it's not annoying. And then, of course, you could also go the other route, which is what Sephora decided to do here. Put 300 colors in the email, give them a $15 coupon, ask them to come back. So there are always two strategies to do this. It depends on how your brand wants to do it. But I want to come back to winback. Of the workflow revenue, winbacks should be a very important, very key strategy for you, because you spend a lot of money acquiring that customer. And if you've completely lost them, then your email strategy is a fail, right? Covering up everything, and I'm open to questions now. So please start articulating. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Please put them in the chat, and I'm happy to answer them. Um, I'll try and articulate as much as I can. We have only a few minutes left. But coming back to the overall insight here, emails are extremely, extremely alive, right? There is no two ways about it. SMS is extremely hard to pull off. It's important, but the number of people that will actively want to receive an SMS from you and will want to sign off of those SMS once you start sending them is going to be always high. Moreover, the cost of sending an SMS to someone who doesn't want to receive them is $24,000. That's how much you can be fined if you send one SMS to the wrong person who's too annoyed to deal with it and gives a call and files a complaint or does any of that. So you have to be extremely careful. Emails, on the other hand, are extremely visual. They still have engagement. 60-70% open rate. As a matter of fact, we did this analysis on a couple of our customers. I can't tell you which industry, but we realized people were opening their emails from 6:30 in the morning to 8:30 in the morning. We were like, what is even happening? Why are people opening their emails the first thing in the morning? And so, that led to 2 years ago, we built a feature called send time personalization, which essentially ensures that the email is sent to a customer at a time when they are most likely to open them on the depending of their on the basis of their email opening history with us. So bottom line is, I think, please don't underestimate emails. The fact that you're on this webinar says a lot about you. So I'm glad that you're taking it seriously finally. And we are happy to tear your email strategy down, do a thorough analysis, find ways in which you can fix it. And then, yeah, that information is free for you. If you want us to sit down and do more, we are happy to do that as well. I'm open for questions. I hope this was useful. I hope my insights were meaningful. And I hope your email revenue doubles. And, you maybe come back and give me a share of it then. So thank you so much for taking the time. I'll wait for a few minutes for questions and then we can close it. What are your thoughts on just text emails to start with? They're a great idea. Keep them short because they're non-visual, but you could totally do them, articulate extremely well. I know of brands who've done this at scale as well. Dbrand is a brand that does skins for mobile phones. I know a lot of you might know about them. They were not doing images in their emails for a long time. They have this entire brand image that robots are running the brand and it's not humans. So the emails that they would send would sound like a robot wrote them. Hey, human is how they would normally start. So you could totally do that, but keep them interesting because you have only a few seconds to get their attention. So I would recommend keep them short and keep them useful. Where's the link? So I'm going to send that to you, Alex. I'll get back to you on an email and you can just reply to that saying yes, and we'll get to work. Thank you, Irvin. I'm glad I was able to add value. So I keep getting messages in my in the hosts and panelists section. So please feel free to pick everyone before you message. I'm just gonna give it another minute, and then we can close it. Thank you, Joe. I'm glad you did. What are the key points to ensure that our emails are not blocked, eventually categorized as spam and junk? Okay, so that's a big list. Even do you mind sharing your website URL with me? I want to do a live, just quickly take a look at your store and see if there's something or any other URL. I'm just going to quickly see if I can find you ways in which you can avoid that from happening. Okay, perfect. So Joe set his website, nightlog.com, nightlog.com. Thank you, Cindy. So, okay. So Nightclub, Joe, I think this is going to be your biggest takeaway from the webinar today. You see that? I don't know if I can point it in the right way and you can maybe see that. Your DMARC policy needs to be enabled. Your MX records need to be set up. This is definitely not a good thing. So I recommend, this is actually a free tool. So I recommend everyone to please go and check this out and make sure that there are absolutely zero errors here, right? So that's a, we'll reach out to you and you can just reply to the email and we'll get to work. But yeah, so this is one way. So point number one, make sure that this page has zero errors. So your DMARC policy, MX records, SPF setup, everything has to be pristine. It has to be amazing. No problem there. Second, never buy email lists ever. Even if they give it to you for free, don't take it. Especially don't take it if it's for free, by the way. Just like any other thing, you should not take if it's for free on the street, right? So that's point number two. Point number three is be meaningful. Generally speaking, we recommend not sending more than one or maximum 2 emails a week. And the reason is, if you have 20,000 emails in your list and an unsubscribe rate of 1% or say 2%, if each time you send those 20,000 emails, 200 or 400 get unsubscribed, right? So 1 or 2% get unsubscribed. And if you've sent 8 campaigns in the month, you are losing anywhere between 1,600 to 3,200 emails in a month. That's how many emails you lost. So your email list next month is 17,000. So you are already starting back 10 kilometers away, right? Point number one. Point number two is in that month, if you have, I don't know, 30,000 new visitors on your website and you manage to collect 5% of their emails, that's 1,500 emails. So the net growth of your email list is negative 1,500 or negative 1,700. It's like shooting yourself in the foot. So keep your volumes low. Ensure your domain and your IP reputation is sorted. You can also just ask us to do all of this, but I'm just kind of trying to still list a few of. There are other factors as well. Your email content quality, image quality. Your next question is, what are your thoughts on emails which are heavy on PNGs? As most of the time now, when I open my inbox, almost all images have their images blocked. So I think I would want you to check your inbox settings. Generally, that doesn't happen. Or you're getting emails from people who are not resizing them and making sure that they look good. It's also about how the email is designed. I see very often now, I see emails where the entire email itself is an image, right? The whole thing is probably built in Canva or some other similar tool. And that image is then put into Klaviyo or MailChimp. And the whole image is hyperlinked to go to a product or a category page or wherever it needs to go. And that's terrible because, of course, I mean, if the customers, when they're opening it on their phone or their laptop, if the image fails to open, you're done. They didn't even see the email. So it's a wasted opportunity. So you've got to break your email down, have text. It should be a full-blown HTML email. Template editors create HTML emails. But I think sometimes we obsess over design a lot, probably too much, right? At the end of the day, design is a matter of perception, right? So I know that we want to protect our brand, and I feel about ConvertCart that way as well. But sometimes you've got to just let it go. Like, for example, our website has a webinar page, and all of the tiles on that page look horrible right now. But I know that revamp is pending, and it's been long pending. But does that mean I should stop doing webinars? No. It means I can be patient and still deliver quality content, and the few people, 100 or so, will want to come and listen to me, will still come and listen to me. So that's kind of the way to look at it. So I think optimization is a solution for that, Irvin. Any other questions, folks, that I can answer? You're welcome. You've been asking questions on DM, by the way, so nobody else got to see your questions, but they were great questions. Thank you so much. Thanks, Alex. All right, folks, I think we'll close it. I'm happy to take questions over email. Once again, thanks so much for joining me on your Thursday. And I think I'm going to keep Greta Van Fleet going for the next 2 webinars as well. And yep, I hope your, as I said, email revenue doubles. And if you need our help, we are right here. Thanks so much. Have a fantastic rest of your week and have a fantastic weekend after that. Bye-bye.